So, what actually makes a good lens for live streaming, especially with your DSLR? So, if you've already got a DSLR camera and you're thinking about live streaming with it, you can go through a few options. You can connect up the camera to your USB and use it as a webcam if you have a Canon camera, or if you have a HDMI on your camera, you can connect that to a lead and go to a video capture card and get a HDMI view. That's kind of connecting. I'll give you a separate video about connecting, but in this one, I want you to think about what makes a good lens for live streaming, especially with DSLRs. So on the lenses, there's a few things to keep in mind. I'll show you a few scenarios because I think it will help you to actually see what I'm talking about. So on the lens, you'll normally have numbers. What do all the numbers mean? Let's have a closer look. So that says it's a zoom lens and it's an EF. A zoom lens means I can zoom in and out, which means the picture will be wider or narrower depending on how much you're seeing. Right now here you're seeing a certain amount, but with a wider lens you'll see more of my background. But sometimes that can be good because if your lens is closer to you, you can see you in the middle and it looks like a nice effect, whereby you're closer, it kind of distorts the background in a way. So the zooming is a good thing. EF refers to the mount. This is Canon specific at the moment because this is a Canon lens. EF is a mount that you can use on a DSLR camera. EFS, the S stands for a different type of camera. Well, not type of camera, but if you have a Canon, you have a short crop sensor body, which has a smaller sensor. Thing like Canon 550D, 600D, 700D, 2000D, those kind of beginner cameras. The professional series of cameras, which is like the 5D Mark 2, 3, 4, 5, I think now, 6 even, isn't it? But yeah, so 28 to 90 is the distance that we referred to. So 28 millimeters is wide, 90 millimeters will be narrow. The main thing for live streaming you want to focus on is these numbers here, where it says 1 to 4 and f5, 6. That basically means f4 is the lowest aperture you can get. The lower that number, the more background blur you're going to get. If you're doing a live stream like I'm doing where you're speaking, you can see the background behind me is blurry. That's because I'm shooting at 2.2 at the moment. You'll notice this lens only goes down to 4 over here. 4 is a bigger number, which means I won't get as much background blur. So it'll look a bit more sharp. You may want that. If you're demonstrating something, you might want everything to be sharp in your live stream. So it's worth thinking about these numbers, and that's normally where the price difference happens. If you're buying a lens and it's not as expensive, it's probably because one of two factors. It's a cheaper brand lens, like it's a starter lens, but these are good lenses. Even though this is like probably 50 or 60 pounds, this 28 to 90 millimeter lens, it's an older lens, but for video work it's nice and easy and light and portable. So I might actually, well, I'll show you a clip of what it looks like so you can see what I mean by the difference in blur. But it will be handy to have because it's lightweight compared to other lenses which will be heavier. I did a series of videos about buying a lens for all the way from 50 to 600 pounds with increments between. So it gives you an idea of what lenses are available and what you can expect to purchase from those types of lenses. But the main thing to keep an eye on is the type of lens. Do you want it to be a zoom lens? Do you want to do multiple things with it? Because if I wanted this to be a zoom lens, I could record this video at 28 millimeters, for example. Right now is at 50 millimeters. But if I wanted to show you an example on my desk, I could make that lens wider, which would become this secondary number I'm talking about. So 28 to 90. I can go anywhere between that. So you can see right now, there's 28. 50 is what this is right now. And then if you wanted to get even wider, you would probably get 35, which would be similar to, I could probably show you this on this camera here. That's more equivalent to 35. So you can see a lot more around me. And then 28 will be like really wide, so you'll see a lot more information around and what's in the surrounding area. 70 and 90 will be really close, so you'll like kind of get close onto your face. So you're doing a scene where you want to give more emphasis on something or do a shoot of a zoomed in item, but then that will affect what the aperture number is, because as you zoom through that, you'll see that 4 and f6 is two numbers. So then that means that your camera will change f-stops. So during your shot, when you're zooming in and out, that number will change. Normally the better lenses has one fixed aperture, which means throughout the lens, it'll always be the same. So you can go zoom in and out and you'll have the same number throughout, which is a good thing because you don't have to adjust your settings of your camera if you're on a manual mode. If you're automatic shooting, that will automatically adjust. But that's getting a bit too technical. But in terms of a good lens for live streaming, I would say get a fixed lens that doesn't have much zooming. Have one angle on it, like I have here, less elements in the camera, because a zoom will have more elements to allow the zooming to take place and multiple lenses, which can cause degradation of images, like as in it won't be as sharp as you would get a lens that is just a 50 millimeters. So that's giving you a bit of background about lenses and live streaming. You can get autofocus lenses and live streaming lenses which have image stabilization, but if you're going to have it on a tripod, it doesn't matter. But if you're looking at lenses, have a look at that video I'm talking about in the playlist. I'll link it to the end chapters. It's basically a lens for every budget. You can check out what the benefits are of the cheap and the expensive lenses because I cover them off, and you can find something that will help you there. I'll see you on one of those videos next.